You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about
comic books, costumes,
facts, boots,
and other stuff.
In this week's issue, World's Finest Wednesday.
Welcome into Bros, Foes, and Heroes for our first ever World's Finest Wednesdays, where we are actually covering a World's Finest comic. That'll happen a lot. Also, we'll have some other Silver Age characters out there, so it won't always be just Batman and Superman, but I mean, they're two of the favorites for a reason, and they got up to a lot of weird stuff in the 50s and 60s and 70s. So,
they did. It was a different time.
It was.
Different expectations.
That's true. This is from, I can tell you, World's Finest number 189 is the story we're covering today from November of 1969.
Okay.
This is going to be a two-part story.
Well, the last one was 3 cents that we covered. That's how much the comic book cost. 3 cents.
From 66 to
and this
69,
is
it went up 12
15 cents.
12 cents.
That is a
3
big
years.
difference, dude.
That is a big jump. It's kind of like how groceries have kind of expanded.
Yeah.
The past couple of years.
I can't believe that bread is $1 a slice now. It's crazy.
Or it's also insert amount of money now too.
Milk is.
It would have been better if I could have had my here's the thing: is people who are just listening to the audio bit will not. Get
They
the
won't
joke
see the
at all.
faces. Yeah.
So we're almost into 1970 here when we start this one, but
It's when all
this
those heart
is a-
transplants were taking place. It's
Oh, for
1969, right?
this is a two-parter. So I say that as in
Wait a minute. You said what month?
November and December.
69?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is the last issues before we went into 1970.
Yeah.
Granted, I think they were produced in like September and October, obviously. at that
Sure,
point.
sure.
But this is a two-part story in a sense of there's multiple parts in the comic, and also it carries over into World's Finest 190. So you'll get part 1 this week in issue 189, and next week we'll get the conclusion of 190.
You're going to
But
keep
don't
me on
worry.
edge.
Don't worry. There's enough weirdness, silliness, cool, I don't know, to keep you occupied until then. We open with the cover of 189 that says, "Who will be the man with Superman's heart?" And Superman is laying on a operating table, and he has a sheet over him all the way down to his shins, essentially, so you can see the boots to know that it's Superman. Wow, hold on, I just noticed this.
Yeah, a couple things. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to talk about.
I didn't notice that until just right now.
His shirt and his cape are off.
But his pants are on.
So he's just in pants and boots. Batman,
pants and boots.
I believe he's in his whole costume underneath that sheet.
I think Batman is.
Yeah.
But Superman is not. From
Yeah.
the waist down, he is clothed.
Thank
From
God.
the waist up, he is naked.
You don't want it the other way.
No. Maybe Superman's a never nude.
He
from
could be a
Arrested
never nude.
Development.
Yeah.
And they're just honoring
I
his
blew
wishes.
myself. Yeah.
Oh, Tobias.
Yeah, that's good
but
stuff.
the doctor says before he died, Superman willed his super heart to you, Batman, which is a lie. That's what we're going to find out about these things, too, on the cover, is sometimes
Well, does he even
they're
need a
bit of
heart?
lie. Batman doesn't, but it's
That's what I'm saying. Does
Superman's-
he even need a heart?
But Superman's heart is a super heart.
Whatever.
And he goes, "Are you ready for the transplant?" And Batman says, "No, I'm not worthy to have his heart. I know someone more deserving." Also a lie. Batman doesn't know anybody more deserving.
Honestly, you shouldn't be able to cut Superman's heart out.
That's explained in this too.
Okay. All right. I'll wait. Sorry.
So we open the issue with Batman and Robin sitting over the table of a dead Superman.
Yeah.
And Robin says, before Superman died, he made this will directing that certain parts of his body be transplanted into some deserving person. That way, his powers will live on.
That's a weird thing to say, right?
It is a weird
certain
thing to
parts
say.
of his body, not internal organs, just certain parts of his body.
You'll see that it is just certain parts.
Okay.
And Robin goes, everyone agrees that you were the logical choice for the transplant, Batman. And Batman goes, but am I, Robin? Do I really deserve to have the super eyes, his powerful hands? Am I worthy to be the man with Superman's heart?
But again, you don't need it.
No, he has a heart.
Why do you need it?
It's not a super heart, Mike.
Oh, my God. Come on.
So, our story begins in the lovely Metropolis
Of course,
Park.
it begins on a jungle gym.
It does.
Like
where
most-
a lot of Batman and Superman
Like most good
begin.
stories do. Yeah.
Metropolis Park, where the families are there playing, and all of a sudden they all look up in the sky and they're like, Russ, what is that? And he's like, yeah, Kitty. Russ and Kitty,
It's
I
too
guess.
high to tell.
He's like, I don't know what it is, but it's getting bigger. And people are like, man, what is that falling towards us?
She goes, Russ, look up there. What is it? I'm too high to tell.
It looks like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But the parents are like ushering their kids away from the playground. Like something's like falling
Well, that's
down
good.
towards
I mean, you don't
Good-
want your
good-
kids getting squashed.
Exactly. Good parenting here. And all of a sudden there's a giant crash
Oh.
into the jungle gym, and you can see Superman's cape there.
It is Superman.
And there's flames from the pit that he lands in, and they say it's at least 6 feet deep, and he's like, he's not moving. And they're like,
Poor
oh, it's okay. Don't worry.
Superman.
It's Superman. Like,
Yeah.
maybe he's just knocked out.
That's what I
like-
would think, too. Yeah.
And he's like, the fall, it could have done something, but it didn't kill him, like, you know. And a doctor shows up and goes, but wait, like there's no pulse, no respiration, no heartbeat.
It's fucking Richard Nixon
It
on the
is.
TV. That's
It
great.
is.
Yeah.
Superman's dead, is what he says.
Oh, Superman is dead.
And it says a short time later, all TV programs are interrupted by a special announcement from the president, which, as Mike pointed out, is Richard Nixon here, even though it's not said.
Yeah.
And he's like, it is with great sadness that
It
I
is
must
with
report the
great
tragic-
sadness that I must report the tragic death of the greatest hero of our country or the world ever knew, Superman.
There you go. I like that. Usually I'm the one who does voices. I'll take it. And like everybody's shocked by this.
Oh, look at all the world leaders that are shocked.
And all their flags are lowered to half
Oh.
mast all around the world. And everybody remembers
He
things that Superman did to help his family.
He rescued the children when the monsoon struck.
Yeah. Or he prevented a flood that would have wiped out a village. Or he saved my whole family during an earthquake.
That woman
Or
has
the
mumps. She has mumps.
It looks like it. The Queen just says, he stopped revolutionists who planned to overthrow my government.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, look how
Back in the
sad
Daily
she is.
Planet, Perry's like, I'd give an arm and a leg not to have to print this headline. And it
Ugh.
just says, you know, Superman dies. Lois is crying, talking about how much she loved him. Jimmy is upset to think like he'll never do another great deed again.
I think he'll
And about
never
that
do
time,
another great
offhand-
deed again.
Off panel, we get a wrong Jimmy.
Wrong, Jimmy.
And Batman shows up and he goes, yes, Jimmy. Several months ago, Batman gave me this sealed envelope to hold with its
Superman.
contents.
Superman gave me this envelope.
Superman gave me
You said Batman.
Oh, thank you.
Just saying. Yeah.
That's fine. Superman gave me this envelope.
I just want this to be, I mean, as factual
Fair
as
enough.
it possibly can. This is a very serious story. Superman is dead.
Superman's dead. It is very serious. I'm sorry
And
that
he
I'm not.
signed over his organs to someone.
Not yet, but he has willed them. Can you
Richard
will-
Nixon said Superman is dead. This is a national tragedy.
He did. And now we're going to give all of his body parts away.
Yeah.
It was good timing, though, because they didn't find those tape recorders.
So they open up the letter, and Perry's like, great Caesar's ghost.
Oh,
You know, in interests of medical science, he's willed like his heart and other parts of his body to
don't
be
like that.
transplanted to a deserving partner. And Jimmy says, I know exactly who it is. It should be Batman.
should be
And
Batman.
Batman's like, but why? And Lois is like, no, Jimmy's right. And Perry's like, yeah, they're right. Like, if anybody should have Superman's powers, it should be you, Batman.
I've never seen Lois look like that. Like, she's got a little go-go dress on, and she's got like one of those little bob haircuts.
Really? She looked like that for a little. I
Yeah.
feel like she looked
Really?
like that in one of the stories where she married that titanium guy.
She looks like who's the from Archie? Who's the brunette?
Betty?
Brunette
Or
and Archie.
Veronica.
Veronica. She looks like
Veronica's the
Veronica. Yeah.
Betty's the blonde. BB. So we then see Batman laying next to shirtless Superman.
So
looking
Batman's
away,
just like, Well, okay.
Fine.
I guess just change my heart.
I should have his heart. Switch my heart out.
Oh, my God.
Well, here's the thing that you have to think of, too, is like you hear about with like organ transplants and stuff, like the body rejecting stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, what if
how's it going to not reject your super heart? Yeah.
Like, why not keep the heart that I already have that's working just fine?
Oh, my God.
But it says the next morning in the operating room of a top secret government installation, and the doctor's like, there's no way, the parts of no ordinary person could be transplanted so long after death.
I mean, it's been 6 weeks.
But with Superman's body, time passes really weird in this comic. You'll see
I would
that
imagine.
In a second before we end today's episode. And they're like, all right, in that case, how do we operate? And one of them's like, Supergirl's bringing us the instruments. Because you asked how they could operate on Superman.
Yeah.
So she shows up, and she essentially is like, all right, here, Superman made these special surgical tools.
Here's the speculum, doctor. Sorry.
But she shows up, and she's like, the tools were right where he said they were.
Yeah.
Here they are. Superman made these. He's like, each laser tool emits a surgical beam filtered through a tiny kryptonite crystal.
Sure.
So it can cut through his skin that way.
How did he make those?
Because he's Superman.
Yeah, but he had to touch kryptonite.
Gloves.
Okay.
Do you think
it still had to like zap the energy out of him, right? Because he's just near it.
I'll come back to that tomorrow.
This is red kryptonite, though, right?
Well, it looks like the laser looks red, and red kryptonite makes him act weird or like.
Yeah.
Remember, it made him have the ant, or maybe we didn't cover that one. Well, I don't think we covered that. Okay, I read a story where he flew through like giant ants.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have saved this for one of these. Giant ants have crash landed on this planet, and to talk to them, he flies through a cloud of red kryptonite, and it changes his head to an ant head.
Oh,
it does weird
we have
things.
Not covered that. I would eat that up.
So maybe at some point in time we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the surgical tools they're fine and they're ready, and they're like,
and we still don't know how Superman really died.
No, we don't.
Okay.
We'll find out a little bit.
Okay.
Here in a second.
All right.
But Batman hops up and he's like, "No, I'm not worthy to receive any of these transplants. Like, wait until you find somebody."
That's the first good decision you've made, Batman. That's it.
He's like a great scientist or like a statesman. Like, I mean, great scientist, fine, but do we really need to give these things to politicians?
No.
Batman thinks we do. But he's like, or like just keep the parts for somebody like that. Like,
you give that heart to Richard Nixon, you're screwed.
He's gonna live forever.
Oh.
Kind of like the head on
like on the head Futurama. Yeah.
But it says, however, the Cape crime fighter still refuses the operation, but they go through to remove the parts anyway. They're like, all right, we're gonna.
He refused the operation for good effing reason.
Yeah. And the doctor's like, all right,
Holy
we're still
shit.
gonna cut out all of Superman's body parts.
And by the way, their ethics are first do no harm.
Yeah.
Right? How would you cut out a working guy's heart? A guy who has a heart that actually works. That is doing harm.
To give him a super heart, Mike.
Fudge.
So, early the next morning, after 11 tedious hours, the doctor's like, man, a couple times I didn't think we'd make it there. It was so delicate, but we were able to make everything perfect.
Thanks, Bush Beer.
This is my favorite part of
the
comic in a way.
Yeah.
So they come up and they're like, oh, it's a success. Supergirl and Batman, the operation went through as planned, no complications. And Batman's like, all right, the results. And they're like, here, look for yourself. All parts have been detached and labeled. And the next panel, we get like, look, his hands, I'm kind of covering up the joke a little bit.
Yeah, I get it.
It says, look, his hands, hearts, lung, eyes, and ears all preserved so that some of Superman's power can live on in another body. His hands, his heart, his lungs, his eyes, and his ears.
Yeah.
All cut off Superman.
Well, okay, before you show that, here's the other thing. Do you think his powers continue in his parts after he's dead?
We'll have to keep reading.
I would think no.
We'll have to keep reading.
Okay. All right. I'm so sorry.
Because you're wrong, Mike. They do.
I just asked the questions that everyone's thinking.
They go, all right, but this must be kept secret. Like, we don't want anyone to know about that.
Yeah.
So they're showing off all the parts. It's just a black
This scene's censored by the Comics Code Authority. That's fantastic. Oh, my God, I love that.
It's just a black...
redacted.
It is just redacted. We're like, hey, look at his hands. Like, they're like, that's how they got past it. They're like, hey, remember in the 50s?
That is so
EC
good.
Comics got in all that trouble for the gore and stuff.
My God.
We'll just tell people that it's here, and we'll just put a giant black
panel.
Remember
when they showed? Remember when DC got in trouble for showing those parts of a fake guy in a comic book?
No, it didn't happen because we censored it for the comics.
It was not censored, though. That's the thing. Somebody had to letter that and draw it in there.
Here's the thing. They never drew any of that.
No.
All they did was they made that panel, and then somebody put the word balloons up on it.
My
Where
God.
do you think they'd be standing?
Wow, that is so funny.
Then we have a funeral for Superman.
How many times do you think they try to kill Superman throughout his existence? It is so effing many times.
Well, yeah. Well, all the characters.
That is like, no. I'm not even talking about bad guys, right, trying to kill him. It's just the story in and of itself. They just continually try to kill Superman.
Yeah. Well,
this poor dude.
He is. Well, that's the thing is I think that people just don't like Superman for some reason or another.
I don't blame him for going off into the stars and working his cornfields or whatever the hell he's doing.
Kingdom
Come.
Yeah. Remember in Kingdom Come?
Shit.
After
yes,
because
he went to his virtual farm.
He did. But Joker kills Lois Lane.
Yeah,
and he still brings Joker in because he's still Superman and
so
he deserves to face justice.
Yeah,
and Magog kills him, and they put Magog on trial, and he's found. They don't charge him for taking out Joker, and Superman's essentially like, all right, fine. You want heroes that kill people? Have heroes that kill people. I'm gonna go do my own thing because this isn't the things that I signed up for. And you're right. You went to that virtual farm. Kingdom Come Superman might be one of my favorite Superman.
I do feel bad for Superman a lot, honestly, because early Superman, he's a dick.
Early Superman,
right?
Is a dick, yeah.
And then you get to hear they're trying to kill him. You get a little further, well, they finally do kill him.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, poor guy.
Well, I don't think we've talked about this, and I'll have to go back and reread it.
And then he's riding a horse. He falls off. He gets crippled. Oh no, wait, that was Christopher Reeve. Sorry.
But there is a new documentary about Christopher.
Is there
Reeve
really?
About that? Yeah, called Super/Man.
Yeah, I would like watching that. That would be cool.
His son, I'll just tell you, his son is going to be in the new Superman.
Yeah, movie. I saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, Superman has always gotten the short end of the stick, and that's why I always find it so funny because it's like people that watch The Boys, and you're like, man, Homelander's so cool. Like, no, he's
not. He's not cool.
It's like the older I've gotten, because there was a point in time. I'm going to go on a quick little rant. There was a point in time where I too was like a Superman hater in a way of like, oh, he's just overpowered. He's just so. But like the more I read,
well, the all-American thing gets in the way a little bit sometimes.
The all-American, well, that's why it's just. I think
the Boy Scoutness of it and all that stuff.
But in a way, the older I get too, I don't mind having a character who chooses to do the right thing just because they want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like there's a quote from a YouTube video I watched, and I wish I could remember who it was, but the quote was, he's not an alien.
Amarath?
He's not a god. No. He's just some dude from Kansas who decided to do good.
Yeah.
And like sometimes that's fine
it's
for
about
the story,
right.
and I appreciate,
Yeah.
I was reading All-Star Superman. I showed you the Compact Comics.
Yeah.
And I reread All-Star Superman that way. And there's stories that make me be like, man, you know what? Superman's actually really good.
Yeah.
But
Superman is actually really good.
As a character, if you find the one street.
Now, can I mention one thing?
Go ahead.
Last night I went to see a Kiss cover band.
Yes.
We're speaking about the Americanism of all this stuff. The middle of the band, the middle of the performance.
Oh, they did it in the middle?
In the middle. They stop. And the guy who's playing Ace Frehley, who was terrible, by the way, he goes, "Hey, everybody, my nephew Earl is over here in the audience." I don't know, they do some other name. Say hi, Earl. He says hi. He goes, "Earl was in the Army for a long time. We got a lot of – who else was in the Army here?" They all raise their hand. And then he says, "All right, we're going to do a little song about America because we love America, blah, blah." I'm
proud to be an American?
It turns into like a rally where this Kiss cover band in Kiss makeup is flying a giant American flag, singing the national anthem.
Oh, that's the song.
And afterwards, the guy who plays Gene Simmons in his big bat costume comes up and goes, "Thank God for the Marines, too."
Did they play it again, then?
No. And then everybody starts chanting, "USA, USA."
Like they're at an 80s wrestling event?
It was the corniest, goofiest thing I've ever seen in my life. And the only thing I can compare it to is, and I don't know if I talked to you about this, there's a movie out there called Bank of Dave. Did I tell you about Bank of Dave?
Yeah,
okay. So at the end of Bank of Dave, Def Leppard, the band, swoops in and saves the town.
Well, yeah.
So that is very much on par with what I saw last night. But anyway, I'm just thinking All American
saves the day.
Oh, have you ever seen Kiss in the Park? The fights the Phantom of the Park?
No.
It's technically it's like a Six Flags, and this Phantom gets loose.
Is it like a Scooby-Doo cartoon?
It's just like a Scooby-Doo cartoon, but it's live action, and it's the actual Kiss members going after the Phantom.
Well, we talked about.
We should cover that effing movie.
Okay,
I'm down for that. It is so terrible. It's great.
We still have the podcast idea where we want to like just watch bad movies and just talk about terrible movies.
I'm completely down for that.
That's funny. That we also talked about how remember. Marvel had the idea for that Kiss comic book where they were going to use their blood to like print it. And I think the story goes at least in the Marvel, the Sean Howe book that I read, or maybe it was in Reed Tucker's Slugfest. And one of the two of them, they tell like the thought is that they messed up, the printing company messed up, and that wound up in like issues of Sports Illustrated and not even in the Kiss comic.
That is so funny.
Now, I mean, that's not the only time that happened. I'm pretty sure Mark Grunwald's ashes were kind of used in the ink for the first printing of Squadron Supreme too. So things like that happen, but it just seems very fitting with the movie you said that Kiss's blood for the comic would wind up in Sports Illustrated.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So back to World's Finest 189. This funeral
Why is
for
Robin
Superman,
Hood there?
Well, because he's there with Batgirl.
No, Robin Hood.
Oh, that's Green Arrow.
Oh, so sorry.
Oh, that's the Atom. I didn't know he was there. You see a little
the joke. Is that the Joker that's sad?
Right there?
Yeah.
Who
is that?
I think maybe that's Perry White. So we have Hawkman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Flash, Green Arrow, Atom, Supergirl, Batman, Robin, and Batgirl.
Batgirl.
And then dude in a suit.
Dude in a suit.
You know who's not there?
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, no, she's not there.
I just realized that
maybe she killed him.
Which, by the way, I meant to tell you this. Speaking of Wonder Woman, you tell me about the Super Friends thing.
Yeah,
that you
the
remember.
eyeball thing. You pull the eyelid down.
I watched one the other day of Superman, and he's like at a Little League game, and like there's a kid smoking, and the kid gets winded as he like runs to first, and he's like, "Remember, kids, smoking is uncool," kind of thing, essentially.
Sure.
And the article that I was reading about it that showed it was like somebody posted that that actually helped their dad quit smoking because it was uncool for losers. Because watching it one Saturday morning, the kid turned to his dad and goes, "Dad, are you a loser?" And the dad was like, "Oh, damn, okay."
That's kind of funny, though. It had its intended purpose.
It worked in a weird way. But I don't know. So it made me think we need to go through and watch some of that because it's still ridiculous.
Oh, I'd love to watch those, too. Those are great.
So we will now see in part 2 of our story who will get the man of might's super eyes, ears, hands, heart, and lung.
I don't like that nickname for him. Ooh.
After this ad for Revel.
Look at Revel?
Revel. It's Revel.
Yeah. Here's Japanese engineering at its most ingenious. Little wonder this feisty 2-cycle bike is so fiercely competitive on the track circuits, chalking up more than its share of victories in Japan. Is that all one sentence?
It is, but it's just the model for the...
And then some Japanese characters over to the side.
Well, they want you to know that it's for sure a Japanese model.
It probably says Stupid American or something like that. Sure. Yeah. That's your model of the month for September.
That is. Oh, I guess you would mail it to them and you'd build it yourself. They'd send it back to you. It's the Yamaha Grand Prix 350.
Oof. Calling members.
Here's the thing. For model of the month for September, that's how you can tell this was made in September and released in November.
Yeah, that's true.
So I wonder if you see that in November and you send it in, you're going to get a different one. Were they always behind them?
Why didn't they just call it Revel's Model of the Month? You don't even need to say what month.
You don't need to. I did include this in here because you know what? It's about to debut? Sesame Street.
Wow.
And you know who tells you about it? Batman and Superman. I did think this was really cool.
Holding up the letters for the Children's Television Workshop.
Yep. And so Batman says, "Hey, kids, are there younger kids at your house who can't read our adventure? Well, we know where they can get started." Right, Superman. And Superman goes, "They can learn the letters from the man from Alphabet. The exciting trips, enjoy funny cartoons, learn how to count, plus lots of other interesting things. Batman and I will be there along with other famous stars. Watch us on Sesame Street."
Now, Were there cartoons on Sesame Street?
Not that I remember. But
I don't remember that either. And I don't remember the Alphabet Man.
I don't either. Here's the thing Sesame Street starts November 10th. It will be on the educational TV station in your town, PBS, Monday through Friday, an hour a day in color.
In color.
So I thought this was cool that Batman and Superman are essentially telling you, hey, watch Sesame Street. And it hasn't come out yet.
Well, what I like is Batman and Superman are holding the letters for CTW.
And then they're pointing
in
at
front
of
the TV that they're on, holding another sign that says National Education Television.
So it's
okay, whatever, man.
But
good for them.
I thought it was cool that one of the first ads of like, hey, watch Sesame Street, which has also become something massive in its own right.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing an advertisement for Sesame Street like that. I
don't either.
You know, I mean, you saw the characters everywhere, but you didn't see ads for Sesame Street because it was on public television.
Exactly. And that's how like everything was on there. The only time I saw ads for other shows on public television was when I watched
public television. Yeah. I think and you had to buy a tote bag to get those. Yeah.
I think we've talked about it before. Like I was a big PBS kid growing up.
Oh yeah.
So like a lot of Sesame Street.
Me too.
Where in the world Carmen Sandiego was on there. They did the game show like that.
That was way after me.
And I know.
Sesame Street, Electric Company,
Bill Nye the Science
3-2-1 Contact. Those were my three.
So you had 3-2-1 Contact, and I got Bill Nye, and I would watch that every day after school.
1.
So part 2, we find the Great Superman Auction.
So now they're going to sell off his parts. Great.
So Lex Luthor shows up at Superman's grave, very upset that he's not the one who killed Superman. He's like, man, all of our battles we've had, you always bested me, and I can never defeat you. And now somebody else even took the joy out of
It's a real missed opportunity for the bald man.
So he's very upset. He's like, you cheated me out of everything, and even in your death, you cheated me out of defeating you.
You son of a... son of Krypton.
So, meanwhile, Batman gets a call from cops in Metropolis of like, hey, since Superman's no longer alive, like we need you to come help us deal with these jewel thieves that are going on.
Sure.
So Batman, I do kind of love it. So Batman and Robin leave the Batcave and they go over there, and like Robin's like, man, if Superman were around, I bet he would have stopped these already. And Batman's trying to be like, hey, Robin, even Superman had a problem with the Big Four syndicate. That they're doing this. So like, he tried, but you know, it's the top 4 gang leaders in the nation. Like this is he's had problems with them too. And Robin's like, yeah, I know. For every crook that's nabbed, you have 2 more that replace him. Like I get it.
Was Joe Bob, Bob Joe,
and
Jobby Bo, and Bo Jobby.
Exactly.
Those are the 4, right?
Those are the 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Close enough. I can't remember. We'll have their names in a little bit. But the Batmobile like passes over the cemetery where you see Superman's gravestone again, and he says, I only wish, choke, that Superman could be flying alongside us now, working on the case with us.
Yeah.
And Batman says, so do I, Robin, but Superman is gone forever.
I love how nobody's figured out how he died.
Superman is gone forever. Wishing won't bring him back.
That's true.
So All-Star Batman shows up a little bit. Like, shut up, Robin.
Batman should have just said, Robin, you can wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up first.
That's essentially what he tells them as they drive past.
That's kind of what he said,
Yeah, like Batman, I think, is kind of upset that he was like, oh, Superman would have done this. And Batman's like, no, he had problems with him too. He's like, oh, I wish Superman were around. He's dead, Robin.
Why don't you shut up, Robin?
So Batman feels a little threatened by Superman.
I do not like his car.
Yeah, Lex Luthor leaves in his weird space car, and he hears something telepathically that gives him coordinates to like where to go, a mysterious voice. And when he lands, he meets this alien.
That gives me like Elon Musk vibes with him in that weird little metal car.
Hey, you know what? I mean, that's kind of fitting.
Yeah, it kind of is.
No X in Brazil. That'll be nice.
So, for Brazil.
Yeah. So we're introduced to Motan the Ruthless, or Motan the Ruthless.
Boy, you hear about him all the time.
The man who robbed you of your vengeance is what he tells Lex Luthor. He goes, see, I'm the guy who killed Superman. And
why is he standing in front of a giant vagina?
No, that's his spaceship.
Oh, okay, sorry. That's what it kind of looked like there right behind him.
I think it's just where he's standing.
I am Motan.
And he tells him like it happened 3 days ago. Like your nemesis was flying back to Earth from some space mission when he noticed my ship.
From some space
mission.
And
he landed and we got into a fight and he kind of like grabbed me. And when he did, I managed to touch hidden controls on my belt.
Well, there you go.
Like, blasted him off. And it's like from that moment, Superman's hours of life were numbered. But I let him think he was just stunned. And he tells him, What shocked you was an electroplasmic charge that had been stored in my belt. It didn't affect me because my uniform is specially insulated for it, but it definitely, like, yours isn't. And Superman's like, what'd you do to me? Like, kryptonite should be the only thing that hurts me. And Moton just tells him, like, that's arrogance. Like, you should know better than that. Like, there are forces in this universe that even you don't know about. And so he tells him that the electroplasm was produced through a unique fusion process that he invented, and as a result, an energy charge that can fell you. Goodbye now. And he just
That's no explanation.
So he goes, but I didn't tell him the electroplasma had a delayed effect. So his strength returned until the fatal shock hit him many hours later.
Okay,
so he's like, he's flying back and he feels fine when finally it hit him again. And so essentially,
it's like food poisoning.
Yeah, what killed Superman is he just falls from incredible heights down through death by falling.
Moltan looks like John Travolta.
A little bit, yeah. I didn't notice that till right now. You're right. He does look like
looks like John Travolta. Yeah.
So he tells him Luther's like, that's all very interesting. As you said, killing Superman was my goal and you cheated me of it. And he goes, not at all, Luther. See, I've been secretly watching what's happened here lately. And I can tell you can still have, like, your victory.
Sure.
See, they removed all of Superman's parts, and they're keeping him in, like, this secret medical facility.
Just get in my giant pink spaceship, and I'll take you there.
And Lex tells him why anybody who has those parts, like, they're still super. Like, I must have them.
Uh-huh.
And Moton tells him, I thought you'd like that. And he, like, tells him where they are. He's like, you're a genius. Go ahead and figure out how to get them then.
Thought you liked that, you dirty little...
And then he gets in his ship, and he flies away. As Lex Luthor starts to scheme. Batman and Robin work on stopping the jewel thieves.
I don't like that panel. Robin's just spread eagle with his crotch facing us there.
Thud.
I mean, it's just like...
He's kicking two guys.
He's like this, though.
He's kicking two guys. How else do you kick two guys?
Off screen? I don't know.
Batman's punching that dude in the junk over there.
Well, that's fine. That's
fine.
I don't see Batman's junk.
You're cool with Batman punching guys in the junk.
Well, here's the difference between those two. Robin's crotch, boom, right there. Batman, he punches somebody, big like pow thing comes up. Yeah. I don't see the guy's wiener go up in him.
They use the thing called the quake drill that creates like a hole in the ground.
Quake drill.
That captures Batman and Robin as they try to escape. But Batman is able to capture one of the thieves and ask him, like, tell me about your bosses.
Basically, they just fall in a hole.
They do
fall in a big hole. Shit.
Just like that. That is the same reaction.
Just coffee. It's all good. I'm sorry. You talk bad about Batman long enough, your coffee falls over.
Oh, man. See, that's the problem with holes.
All right. Here, I'm just going to sop it up with my shirt.
Oh, that's lovely.
There we go. Oh, yeah. All right.
So he tells the thief, like, tell us about your bosses. And the thief tells him, like, I don't know. Like, all we do is get, like, orders over the phone. I've never met any of them.
Sure.
And Batman's like, all right, take him in. He doesn't know anything else. Like, I guess Batman can just tell.
He just works for a pizza place.
Then they get reports that there's a break-in at the secret facility. And so they go to head there, and they notice that Luthor's there, and he's made a belt that is a molecular arranger. So it makes him kind of invisible. Because Batman goes to punch Lex Luthor. He flips the switch on his belt, and he just punches straight through.
I watch these videos by this guy on YouTube called You Suck at Cooking.
Yeah.
And he calls the refrigerator the molecule slower downer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, this is a rearranger, so it's
kind of what that is, yeah.
For a bit.
Yeah.
And then after Batman punches and miss, he switches the thing back on, so he's in human form again, I guess.
And he can karate
chops on the back and the neck.
He karate chops Batman right here.
Then he uses the belt again to walk through the vault.
Sure.
Which causes Robin to kind of like slam into it.
Uh-huh.
Lex Luthor does end up stealing all the body parts and is able to get away with it.
Here's my question. If you've got that suit on, it applies to the bag that you're also carrying human organs in?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
It just kind of like flows.
Got it.
To the
sure.
bag. Then there's like rumblings all through the criminal underground of like, hey, Lex Luthor stole Superman's body parts. Like, what's he going to do? Oh, I hear that there's a like auction for it. Like, whoever could get those parts could be like a major criminal.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So then
he took his super ass.
That wasn't one of the things they removed.
Yeah.
But man, does it look good in a pair of jeans.
Uh-huh. It's just weird that's all in the jeans. That's it. It's just an ass in the jeans.
Flat on the other side. So Lex Luthor has an auction for all of his.
Look at these pictures.
For his super hearing, his hands for super strength, his eyes. You get the X-ray vision and heat vision, all the other visions, and also his super breath, which you can like freeze things and like blow things.
He says he's performing the transplants.
Yes.
Luthor.
Yes. He's a genius, Mike.
All right, whatever.
What happens
my God,
is
who is this guy?
The same guy, Mr. Paris, ends up buying every single piece.
$5 million.
One for $5 million. Then there's one that he buys. Where's it at?
He's just spending millions and millions.
The super lungs.
Hands are $8 million.
He gives him the super hands for $8 million. Like it's just millions and millions of dollars. Then once they're done and Mr. Paris has bought them all, he goes, here's 10% of the dough, Luthor. Like, once everything else has gone through, you'll get the rest of the money. And Luthor's like, all right, I like a cautious man. And, who will be the recipient of these super parts? And he's like, I represent 4 men. They're my employers. And, like, you'll get to transplant one part of them into each member.
Yeah.
So, that evening at the secret laboratory in the nearby mountains.
I read that as laundromat. Nearby in the evening in a secret laundromat.
We're introduced to the Big Four.
Oh.
There's Big Dan Clay.
I get the hands.
Who's going to get the hands. There's King West.
The eyes are mine.
Who's going to get the eyes. There's the Brain Lewis, who'll get the ears.
Give me the ears.
And Ace Shane, who's going to get the lungs.
I get the lungs.
Those 4 are the
Those are the
Big
Big
Four.
Four. Okay.
Those are the big bosses.
Sure they are.
Luthor, he's like, all right, Mr. Parrish, you're going to have to help me with this too. I don't think that guy's ever done surgery, but.
Neither one of them have.
Well, Luthor
But yet they have a whole OR.
Yeah.
They got suits. They got everything.
So a few hours later, he's like, you'll remain here until your scars have healed and your new parts are operating properly. And we see like one guy's arms are bandaged. There's a bandage around the other guy's eyes, around his head.
His big ass head.
And then it says, and when several weeks have passed, now, the guy with the hands can easily break a table in half. The guy with the vision can like light his own cigarette with his heat vision. The guy with the ears is like, man, I can hear headquarters miles away from here.
This is insane, is what this is.
It is. And then the guy with the breath is easily just like blowing things around.
He blows a chair.
Yeah. And Lex Luthor then gets the rest of his money afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's like, as the 4 super hoods depart, so long, buddy. Oh, sorry, forgot my own strength. As he just kind of like throws the door off the hinges. Mm-hmm. And Luthor's like, that's fine, Dan. I never told them about the one part of Superman I didn't sell. And he goes, I kept the heart. It will be a constant reminder of my final victory over Superman. And someday, when I have an assistant I can trust, I'll have him transplant that super heart into my body. And then it says, and so, the Man of Steel's mighty abilities, which could have been placed in Batman's body, have instead been transferred to 4 of the greatest crooks in the country.
Oh, my goodness.
What happens when they meet the dynamic duo? Find out in the next fabulous issue of World's Finest.
Yikes.
And that is where we will leave you.
Superman got all cut up. Hey, scroll down just for a second.
Oh, for the ad?
It's Rommel's Rod.
It is Rommel's Rod.
Rommel?
124.
Rommel was a bad guy, correct?
The Desert Fox's Crazy Command Car by Monogram. And that's a new crazy life.
If I'm not mistaken, Rommel was a bad guy from World War II, correct?
I think you're right. Looking at the flags that are on the car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, kids, get you a Nazi car.
Oh, Rommel's Rod is Tom's version of the wildest Africa Corps Command car ever built.
Yeah.
Big 9-inch long model, has Mercedes engine. What?
That's what I used to tell the girls in high school.
Oh, I forgot that there were quizzes on here, Mike.
Yeah.
You want to...
Well, that's got to be a different episode. That's a different episode. You ask me the questions and I answer the quiz.
Yeah. I completely forgot.
That's good content right there.
We'll have to do that. Okay, there's 20 questions. We'll save that for one of these World's Finest
that's great.
Wednesdays. But there you go. World's Finest issue number 180.
Oh, I don't know if I can wait.
Next week, 190, and you'll get the conclusion of what happens with all Superman and his super parts. And I can tell you, it is super silly.
What happened to his wiener?
They didn't cut that off.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's still there.
Okay.
Well, remember, he kept his pants on. Everything
it's
that
true.
was cut out was
it's
the waist
true.
up.
You're right. It's all waist up.
Yep.
Just a pair of super legs is going to kick all their asses. Yeah.
So there you go. That was our first ever World's Finest Wednesday. World's Finest 189. Next week, we'll have the follow-up with World's Finest 190.
Nice job as always, Zach.
Thank you. So there you go. Hopefully that cures your needs for Silver Age silliness until next week.
Fills your hole.
Something like that. Appreciate you guys always taking the time out to watch, to listen to anything.
Yep.
And until next time, stay safe, everybody.
GollyCon on a Wednesday.
Pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.